So has your phone been blowing up after you make application for a loan and want to know how to stop all of this nonsense? Well, guess what? We have a conversation today that I think you're going to really want to listen to so that you can learn how to stop those telemarketers from contacting to you when you make the choice to decide that you want to go buy a home. So, hey Rhonda, how are you?
Hey Melissa, doing great. And you are right. These trigger leads that are being sold to people that apply for financing by the credit bureaus are getting unreal.
My understanding is I go on your website because we do this all the time, right? I'm on the call with a client and I say, hey, why don't you just pop on over to rhondajohnson.net and start application? And so they go over there and they start their application. Now, unknowingly, what's happening behind the scenes that makes their phone blow up with so many telemarketer calls? What is happening to these people?
So the credit bureaus, the three major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, are currently legally able to sell your information to other lenders. So they kind of sell it to the highest bidders out there. So the three credit bureaus are going to say, hey, Melissa applied for a mortgage loan. She's looking for a loan for $500,000. And they sell that out to hundreds of different lenders. And those lenders buy them and they start pounding your phone, your email, your text, your voicemails, saying, hey, let me talk to you about your mortgage loan. Let me talk to you about your mortgage loan. Now, a lot of those people, in fact, the majority of them aren't even in Alaska. They might not even be licensed in Alaska. All they know is Melissa applied for a mortgage loan, and they're going to go start telemarketing her. And they don't stop, Melissa. They are relentless. So I had a client on Sunday who was out looking at a home, really loved it, wanted to make an offer. I was pre-qualifying them on Sunday. They did the application, and on Monday they were angry. They were very upset with both their realtor and me, because within 24 hours they had over 50 phone calls, texts, and emails from dozens and dozens and dozens of different lenders wanting them to talk to them about their financing. And they thought that I had sold that information or that their realtor somehow had. And none of that is true. We keep you very much confidential. All of your information is very much confidential. So this all came from the credit bureaus, and they do it regularly.
So what I hear you saying is that Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian have somehow, with lack of oversight from our government, found a way to make money by selling inquiries, because that's what it is, right? When I go make an application, it's an inquiry into my credit, and they're selling my information. Now, I know when TRID came out, the idea behind TRID, which was a great idea, is for the borrower to be able to go shopping. Never in all the things I read about TRID when it first came out, because of course where I was working at the time, I was very entrenched in TRID, is none of it ever said we're going to sell your information. As a matter of fact, at Cornerstone, you have a secure portal for everything, and you have a privacy policy, correct?
Absolutely. So it's never us sharing that information. We absolutely can't do that without any kind of permission. So it's definitely coming on the credit bureau level. But, it's very confusing because somebody says, okay, well, I applied online with Rhonda at Cornerstone, but how come I get these phone calls from all these other people? It's confusing because you go to buy a car, right? And they'll check with 10 different lenders to see who's going to give you the best deal. And so sometimes the consumer is just thinking that same thing, that, gosh, I applied once, but now I have these 10 different lenders trying to give me different offers. And the thing with it is, Melissa, is that this client, after we went through what was going on, they tried blocking the phone number on their phone. They tried unsubscribing from the emails. They tried everything that they could from the texts. They tried doing everything they could to stop all of this, but there was just so many, it was very overwhelming. So, how do we fix this?
So, let's just do a quick recap. This unsuspecting borrower who's super excited about going out and shop for a new home does what the right thing is to do, is hooks up with a local lender, makes application. Now, I think this was going on a little bit before, because I think that's what was happening with like furniture, like when furniture places and movers and certain people were buying that information because it made sense, and that's how we got some buyers in trouble, because they would get these offers to go buy furniture, screwing up their debt to income ratio. So what it sounds like to me, these are some desperate times for some mortgage lenders out there who must be paying, because all this information actually runs through one big system.
Yeah, and you're right. So it's usually the lenders that haven't built relationships with their referral partners and their clients, and they're just out there trying to grab any potential business that there might be. And so that kind of leaves a question mark hanging in the air for me anyway. So why do you have to pay to get those leads? You should be getting them based on your ability and your skills and your reputation and all of that. So that's just the question mark that hangs for me.
Buying leads is one thing. And so when I first started in real estate, I was the cold calling queen, 1999. I had a whole system set up. I knew how many no's I needed to get to a yes. There was no such thing as the do not call registry. So what's fascinating to me is these people are just like sharks in the water going after this poor borrower who, most of our borrowers, even if they're seasoned borrowers and they've bought properties, the world is so different right now. I mean, it's not that long ago that we didn't even have these things. So to get calls, texts, and emails by unknowing people, how confusing that must be. So how do our borrowers get protected? What is there something that they can do, Rhonda?
Yeah, so the first thing that you're going to want to do, even if you're thinking about buying a home anytime in the near future, is go to optoutprescreen.com. So optoutprescreen.com. That's the first place you want to go. When you put your information into optoutprescreen.com, then that protects you for 5 years from getting unwanted solicitations. So it doesn't stop you from doing business. It doesn't stop you from applying for financing or anything like that. It will reduce the amount of unwanted solicitations that you get. Now, the thing with opt-out pre-screen, though, is that it can take 5 or 6 days for that to actually take effect. And so if you're ready to go, like right now, then you don't want to wait that long to get this process started. So one of the other things that may reduce or eliminate a bunch of those solicitations is to just put in an under $50,000 loan amount on your application. So generally speaking, the lenders that are out there paying for these trigger leads are going to have some parameters because it costs them money, right? They're spending money on these leads, and so they want to make sure that that's worthwhile for them to do that. And so they might put in, it has to be a minimum loan amount of $150,000 up to, whatever a maximum is, and they must have a certain credit score, and they must have this, and they must have that. And those are the leads that I want. So those are the parameters that they put in there. Generally speaking, they're not going to put in a parameter of $50,000 because that's not going to make it worth their money. So when you apply for your mortgage loan, if you put in some very low number like $50,000, then that should help eliminate a big majority of those as well. No guarantees, nothing is perfect, might not get rid of all of them. And Melissa, it's not that we don't want to provide as many options as possible for our clients at all. It's just that it's overwhelming from people that might not even be able to do business in Alaska to begin with and might not have access to some of the programs and products that we have available for our borrowers here, our clients here in Alaska. And you might get led down a flashy path for something that isn't necessarily the best product for you or available for you. And so that's all we're trying to do, is just make it an awareness that this is going on. It's definitely not coming from your lender or your realtor. And just know that there's a couple of solutions that can help reduce that. But oh my gosh, I can't even imagine on a Sunday how aggravating that had to have been for our client.
So what's interesting with what I heard you say is there are kind of a couple of options that our borrowers, or pretty much anybody listening to this video, you can go to the optoutprescreen.com and choose to put yourself in there, which will opt you out from credit bureaus being able to sell your information for 5 years. Now, that's not going to help you if you're out today and you're thinking, you know what, we just paid rent again and we need some more elbow room, we need to go shopping, so you jumped on and got pre-qualified today. Know that Rhonda is actually telling you a great thing here. We are not saying do not go out and shop lenders, but that's your choice. You don't necessarily want a bunch of out-of-state big box lenders calling you, because oftentimes, in my experience with those big box lenders, they're really good at saying, sure, let's do this, only to have the whole thing fall apart a week before closing because they were never able to close that loan anyway. So you should be talking to 2 or 3 local lenders. We love that. We encourage that on pretty much everything that we ever do, but never did we want your information to be sold and shared, and then you get bombarded by calls. So every one of your mortgage lenders, if you pop on their website and you scroll way down to the bottom, there's this little button called privacy policy. Read it. Cornerstone didn't sell that name. The real estate agent didn't sell that name. I mean, I didn't even know how you would do that. So what it tells me is, just by trying to improve your life, get yourself and your family a better home, you've now opened yourself up to a can of worms. So go over again what happens, because I usually will hook you up with my client, but sometimes I do tell them just to jump on rhondajohnson.net. So what I need to remind them to do is to do what again? Is only make application for how much?
For $50,000 or less for a loan. I'll fix it on my side, and we'll come up with that dollar amount that you actually qualify for. But that will help reduce a bunch of those trigger leads as well. So if you don't have time to do the opt-out pre-screen, just put in a very, very small loan amount, and that will weed out a lot of those paid trigger lead lenders that are out there just telemarketing.
Well, and the blessing is if most of you have, I have AT&T, I'm not sure what everybody else has, but I know that when it's a telemarketer call, my system, my phone, whatever algorithms running behind all this will tell me it's a telemarketer call. However, if I got 50 calls, texts, and emails in one 24-hour time period from strangers, I might just not have a phone anymore. I might have taken a hammer and bashed that thing, because that would be really disturbing, especially because there's a lot of people in the lower 48 that don't consider the time difference.
Yes, and that's what this client was saying, is that they were calling at all hours of the time and the day and night, early in the morning, because it was 8 o'clock their time, so it was only 4 o'clock in the morning our time, and they were getting those phone calls. So yeah, I felt so bad. So I just wanted to make it an awareness that this is happening. It's that the Mortgage Bankers Association has 2 bills in Congress right now trying to put a stop to this, but who knows if and when it'll ever come through. It really does take an act of Congress to change those rules. So just an awareness. So a couple of possible options to help eliminate or at least reduce those amount of calls that you get.
So I'll look up what those bills are, and I'll put it in an email out to every one of my clients, and I'll add it to this video, because here's the thing, our voices can be heard. So you can send an email or a text message to your congressman or call and tell them to support this bill. And if we had an uprising in that based on what's happening, because this was just one client. So if this has happened to you, now you kind of understand really where it came from, that it came from the credit bureaus. It has nothing to do with the person that you actually were making application with. It is, your information is being sold by the credit bureaus. And if you're not okay with that, guess what? The Mortgage Banking Association is, or it's a Mortgage Brokers Association, which the Mortgage Banking Association is trying to protect us as consumers. So speak out to your congressman. You can look it up online to see who your congressman is per your state, and make sure that you follow it and follow up with them and tell them to support that bill and please get it passed. Because that it's just, with rates being in this flux and higher, mortgages have dropped, home buying has dropped a little bit because some people are still trying to get over the shock of what's been happening. If you really want to go out there and buy, we want your experience to be wonderful. We do not want you to get 50 calls, emails, or texts. So either go to optoutprescreen.com, or like Rhonda says, when you're making application, let your lender know, and then also just make it for under 50,000, because I can't imagine anybody buying those leads. So anything else, Rhonda?
No, I think that's it for today, and I will send you the bills, and I can even send you where you can. I don't know if the time has passed to sign the petitions, but I'll send that information to you.
Well, again, like Elle Woods and Legally Blonde showed us, one voice can be and get many people behind it. We can actually get things done. And I think this particular bills need to be passed because I do not think consumers are aware that their information is being sold, and they would not be happy about that. So thanks very much for bringing that to our attention, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
So if you want to get hold of Rhonda or I, at the end of this video is information on a contact slide. You can call Rhonda, you can text her, you can jump on her website, hit rhondajohnson.net, hit her Calendly link. It'll schedule a time where she'll either talk with you over the phone, or she can meet with you just like this, face-to-face over Zoom, and chat with you about what your plans are in buying. We work all over Alaska, so please feel free to reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. And remember to subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified every time we put out a new video. So see you guys next week.
All right, see you next week.